We are here at St Pancras Old Chapel with Mr. James McVey. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. And also, just people wondering, I should be setting up the stage. But no, Josh and Alex are doing the Christmas lights behind. So,
the Christmas lights.
Sorry.
Is that a permanent feature, the Christmas lights of this tour?
They are for the solo shows, yeah. But it's a hangover because we did some shows last year in December, and it was a genuinely like themed Christmas set of shows.
Okay.
And where are we now? We're like start of October.
So you can't get rid of them at this point?
Yeah, and we're thinking like, can we get away with it? So yeah, so we've got Christmas sort of themed, but I've not used the multicolored lights. I've just gone for the bog standard warm.
Get the refined, the classier version.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And for the sake of everyone at home, what are we doing here today? What's going on?
So yeah, we're in St Pancras Old Church, which is like 1,000-year-old music venue in London, and there's been some like amazing people that performed here over the years, and it was kind of a bucket list venue for me to play since I started this solo journey a couple of years ago. And yeah, we're finishing the UK section of the shows tonight here, so I'm buzzing. I think the acoustics should be really good in here as well.
For sure. Am I emotional?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, London for me, my wife's coming, my parents, her parents, like my close friends. Quite a lot of watch people are coming tonight, which is funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it will be emotional, but I think it'll be more positive than negative.
And then drive to Paris tomorrow?
Day after tomorrow. Luckily, we've got a day off tomorrow. And then yeah, pack up the car Friday morning. Yeah. We're going a bit bougie this time, so we're not getting the ferry. We're going to get the train.
Oh wow!
Which I've never done.
It's the pop star life.
Yeah. I am driving myself though, which is I've got a caveat with. So doing that, and then yeah, we'll do Paris on Saturday, and then back home on Sunday, and that's it. That's
just
touring done. Yeah.
So I'm just trying to imagine, like you finish, you're in Paris, the end of this run. Yeah. I'm assuming there's some fun at the end of it.
Yeah, you would think that, but the thing with, I'm 32, Josh, our tour manager's 40, and Alex is the youngest, he's baby 27, but we can't drink like we used to.
Yeah, it's
and now I'm driving everywhere. I can't get like battered and then drive the next morning. So, I mean, the nice thing actually about the rider, you mentioned riders before, and I said the only two things on my rider, well, only one thing on my rider is red wine. I have 2 bottles. Normally by the time I finish off stage, or like around that time, I do the merch stand after the show, so I go straight to the merch stand and meet fans. I'll carry on the wine there. So by the time I get home, there's no more alcohol to be had, and I've had a bottle and a half of wine. So pretty tame, my shows. The Vamps shows, however, are crazy. I'm the boring one in the Vamps.
So you said before that your rider was different in the Vamps.
Yes.
Well, indulge me.
So I think it's also important to say, like I was trying to explain, riders are not these like free things.
Oh yeah, I'm
so,
quite saddened to hear that.
The bands do pay for what you have, which I think sometimes maybe we forgot as the Vamps over years. But
you were in your 20s, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of different beverages. There was also like strange things. There would be like a whole pack of like hummus and carrots that would never get touched. There was like a pack of sandwiches that would never be, and I think I actually do remember we had a conversation once. Our tour manager at the time said, look, let's just go through the rider because this is what you've ordered. And he said he knew firsthand, I used to be really into like the gym and stuff, and I would have like a 6-pack of protein shakes. I wouldn't consume them, but every day you get the rider again.
Okay.
So every day I would get 6 protein shakes. I had like 36 by the end of the week or something. So that's why on this tour we are very conservative. We're like, what do we actually need? More often than not, we're in like major cities where we can just go to like Greg's. We don't need to spend like.
What's your Greg's order? Important.
I'm vegetarian.
The vegan sausage roll is good.
They are, yeah. I used to love, and I don't know if they do it anymore. Like the beans and cheese.
They do.
Thing.
Can confirm. Had one recently.
That's a bit of me.
Elite snack.
Yeah. And that's what people really want to know. They don't want to know about tourbillons. They want to know about Greg's sausage roll.
But like, I'm pretty sure we tuned in for a watch show here, which is a beautiful, beautiful segue into why on earth we're here with. James texted me this morning saying, how many watches should I bring? And I was like, the limit does not exist. It's a Mean Girls reference for anyone that...
See, I didn't know what you meant.
Now you know. And turned up with 2 cases of them. So we're in for a treat. James and I actually know each other. We were at Time and Tide a year ago-ish. And James and I, we just got chatting like people do at an event. I think maybe it was I can't remember, brand or something. Maybe it was Studio Underdog. Yeah. And you were wearing a Freak. And we just, you were wearing the Freak, and then I think you had a bel canto or something like that, and we got into quite a heated discussion on the bel canto. I was just not for it. You were just loving it, and that was it. Like I remember getting home that night, and I was like, oh, you just make friends like really quickly in the watch world, don't you? And one of the, I sort of messaged him a few weeks, and I was like, would you be up for, a little chat about your collection? Because I have no idea what this man has on the collection. So. But this is a fraction, I think.
So I've been very fortunate that I've been able to speak a little bit about my collection. I did a video with Adrian Barker, who I love, a couple of years back, and various other things along the way. So I've tried to bring stuff here. There's a very small crossover with a couple of the things I mentioned with Adrian, but I've tried to bring things today that I haven't really shown much of. And with that, it doesn't mean that everything in here necessarily has a big value in one way, financially, but emotionally, there's a story attached with 75% of the things in here. Well, actually, probably we all, as you said before, at one point in time, buying each of these was a big thing. So actually, there's always, there is a lot of sentimental attachment to these, but some of them have just, a lot of these have actually come in very recently, and
okay.
I want to start doing a tradition where I do an annual state of the collection thing on my YouTube. So I've got a YouTube channel from 10 years ago that I literally never use. And I did the first one last year. And it gets to this point of the year, or maybe August, September. And I think, well, I'm not going to buy it. The collection's not going to change this year. So what am I going to do for my state of the collection? And lo and behold, and what happened last year just happened. I ended up shifting a few things out of nowhere. Yeah. I picked up 4 or 5 things. And I feel this is this. It's crazy how we justify spending money.
The stories we tell ourselves.
But this is the mad dash by the end of the year. So that's what I'm going through right now. I'm trying to sort of sell a couple of things. I've got a couple of things I want to pick up. But this is, a bit of an eclectic mix of, well, there's a lot of variety here, and there's not much cohesion. I mean, I guess if I'd reorganized the boxes, you could maybe see a bit of a journey, but this is basically, I ran out of time this morning, and I was like, what do I bring? Let's just chuck stuff in and go.
This is a curation. This is what you get. And what's really interesting about you is I thought, maybe assumed, that you'd gotten recently into collecting, and it's only when we were chatting. So when did it start?
Probably 8 years ago with my father-in-law.
Still in the Vamps? The Vamps were still going?
Well, you know what? I've said this before. Thank God when I was 21, and there was this sweet spot in my life where I still live with my parents, which maybe not a sweet spot for some people, and I went from, I used to work in a clothes shop, and I would make £200 a month. I went from that to then, within 6 months, the Vamps really, it just connected, and I was very fortunate that I had means that I could spend in a way that I had never done before. Fortunately, I wasn't into watches.
You weren't an addict in watches yet.
It would have been really bad.
Truly.
But at the same time, actually, you think, actually 13 years ago, it was
you
quite
could have picked up.
Yeah, there could have been some juicy deal.
You
I
could
could
have
have got a
here
pole
with
router for
£1,500. Like a Paul Newman or something for £5 back then.
Can you imagine?
When no one cared.
No, yeah, but it's been, I would say I've been collecting 7 or 8 years, but really I'd say the last 4 or 5 more serious, but even in the last year to 18 months, I've shifted again because, we sort of mentioned before, from my experience anyway with watch collecting, I had that crazy, exciting, fire at the start, being oh my God, watches, what should I buy? I don't know what I should buy. What do I, so you go on Reddit.
Yeah.
What watch do I buy?
Did you just buy something?
And it would be, and I bought a Submariner for my first watch, which, it's
great, yeah.
Probably the most iconic watch of all time. Great.
Absolutely.
But emotionally, it didn't. I took it around the world on a couple of Vamps tours, but I
was that your one watch for a while?
It was, yeah. But I definitely bought that watch because I thought I should, or it's I need.
It makes sense.
And I've gone through this process of trying to unpick that prejudice maybe I had of certain brands, and try to redefine actually what I like. So, and that can be something as simple as aesthetic. So a good example of that is I got this Timex a couple of weeks ago. This is £160, right, this Timex. And, it's the kind of thing where maybe a few years ago I'd
Let's see it on you.
Oh yeah. Maybe a couple years ago I'd be it's quartz, it's 160 quid, blah, 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 blah. But I saw this the other week and I was I actually really like that. It's not like there's crazy stuff going on under the hood, but It's a reissue of the 70s Timex.
Is it quite a visceral reaction? Like when you saw it, you were just like, I just want it.
I was like, I want that. And I loved that feeling of being like, God, I can't see it. I'm losing my sight in my old age. But
Age 32.
But like for me,
no, this is really nice.
It just like, it's cool. And this is a prime example of like the process I'm going through now, where sometimes I will see something and like it and be like, yes. I don't care what a forum's going to say or like some WhatsApp group.
That's not easy to get there though. That's not easy. Like what you're talking a lot about something that I'm really interested in at the moment, which is evolution and change. And if you're a collector, your collection generally reflects where you're at in life. So the Submariner really perfectly reflected where you were, right?
It did at the time.
The peak of the watch, like it's a Rolex. It's all of these things that make sense for like a 20-year-old or whatever to buy. Yeah. But an important question in this, I guess, new era, because I really interestingly I associate you with the exact opposite of Rolex.
Okay.
In the many times we bumped into each other at events, it's been a Christopher Ward, it's been quite recently a lot of Raymond Weil, really quite diverse, the freak. So, you up and down across the value spectrum, but for me, it sort of felt like you just liked what you liked.
I think so. And again, like what I love about taste is, it does change. It evolves over time. And there's been certain things that a good example is like AP. Like for whatever reason, I've never really cared about it. And I know that's stupid to say because they do great stuff, but like the Royal Oak in particular, I've just been like, it just doesn't sing to me. But more recently now, I've seen some of those smaller vintage Royal Oaks. And I'm
you get to the 90s and the 80s, some good stuff.
And I'm like, what's happening? Like my mind is changing. And whether or not I buy one, who knows? But like I said, I'm going to Japan in a couple of weeks and like that kind of neo-vintage world of AP
you're
is
in
more
heaven
affordable there. Or I do something like a Cobra, like something around there in a way that maybe 5 years ago I wouldn't have looked at twice.
I could see you in a Cobra. I could really see that.
So I've sort of like convinced my wife to let me get her something for her 30th birthday.
Famous last words, convinced
my wife. So we can, I say, oh, look, darling, like there's this watch, it's called the AP Cobra, and look, we could share this. And she's like, yeah, I like that.
Oh, wow.
But what she doesn't realize is sharing is like, she may wear it on very special occasions. It will be my daily for 6 months.
How have you is your wife a watch person or is she doing it with you? Like, how do you talk someone into that? So
I bought Kirsty this on our honeymoon, which is the Grand Seiko SBGM 221.
Whilst you were out there?
Yeah, so this was, I got this in New York and I was already a fan of Grand Seiko. And
this is beautiful.
I said to her, and it was a really nice point where I fortunately had like a pretty good year and things were just good. And I sort of said, like, in my head, I was like, we'll go to, I think it was Watches of Switzerland. And I was like, in my head, roughly what I'd like be okay with spending. and I just like, we went downstairs and we walked along, there's like this cabinet with loads of brands all in one, which is quite interesting. And they had some vintage like Tudor and stuff, which was cool. And out of everything, she like stopped over a Longines and like that's fine. Like that would have, I was.
Was it her choice completely?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's really nice.
And like and thank God she didn't know about Cartier back then. So she didn't even look at that. Wasn't fussed by sort of like the smaller OPs or Datejust, which is fine. And then she stopped at Grand Seiko and like I knew obviously what Grand Seiko was. She had no idea. She had just started learning Japanese. This was 5 years ago, but didn't know about Seiko, which is funny. But she just like was drawn to that, and I was like, yeah, we'll get it. And it was like she wasn't expecting. I've bought watches before. She'd never been with me when I bought watches. I don't think she realised how much the watches cost. But so buying it was like quite a big thing. And that was her first watch.
That's a great story.
And similarly with the future watches we'll buy for her. That one, I never thought I'd be wearing it, but I wear that a lot because I love how, I mean, GMT is my favorite complication. I love the blue against that dial. It just, whatever combination is working there for me, it makes what you could argue is like a boring dress watch, just having a bit of flair, a bit of fun with that blue.
Absolutely.
And I didn't realize at the time that was, I think, the second most popular Grand Seiko model going after, at the time, I mean, I think it was around the time the Shun Bun was like really, I got that as well. So when the Shun Bun was like there, obviously the Snowflake's really popular, but that was one of the really popular models, and like we had no idea. So I went on like YouTube and I just put in the reference, and like Teddy Balthazar did a video on it, and he absolutely loved it. I was like, thank God, I've not. Yeah.
The watch gods have approved.
Yeah. So we bought that, and then quickly from there she kind of got into more things.
So this isn't her only watch?
No. So on the world tour later that year, I had this dream of finding like a vintage Seiko in Japan, and I didn't have time to physically be going around to the shops. So I was on Instagram trying to find dealers, and like it didn't work out. Just with this, we were only there for one day, but we went to Bangkok the day after Japan, and I did just so happen to like stumble upon a Bangkok dealer on Instagram, and he was selling a Seiko. It was really cool, actually. I didn't bring it, but it was the first automatic Seiko that Seiko made. So it was like 60, when would it have been? If Grand Seiko is 1960, I think it was 62, 63.
Oh, wow,
so around 63 maybe, so around that same time. And it was the first automatic, Seiko that they made. So I saw that and I loved that. But then he was also selling a Cartier Must. And it was that thing of, they call it like spider dial, but it's just because the dial's crap and it's shit.
It's totally shit.
But my wife loved
classic.
Yeah.
You open the auction catalog, very special, really attractive spider dial, cracked dial.
But what I loved about that Must is it was, I think it's 1989 or something. So it's one of the last kind of like hand wound movements before they went quartz, right?
That's cool.
I can't remember what year they went quartz, but early 90s or something. Someone's going to slate me. I've got that really wrong, but
you just got to like brace yourself for like
one of the last
there will be
manual wound,
somebody who knows so much more than us on this one reference, and they will hound you forever.
So we picked that up and the Seiko, and the guy came backstage and he
he loved that.
It was so nice to meet him and his wife, and I bought 2 watches from him, and so then she had 2, and then I didn't bring it, but when I bought that Timex, there was another Timex that kind of looks like it looks like a stone dial. It's like an integrated gold. Again, it was like a couple £100 quartz, but it's just cool. It's almost like an oyster quartz style watch, but with like a tiger's eye. It's not a tiger's eye, but
it
just looks cool. And she wears it, and it's got the stretchy bracelet.
There's something about just looking cool, enjoying the watch. I have a question which I meant to ask you. Do you still have your Submariner?
No, so the Submariner, and it's funny.
You don't have it?
So I am.
Because you have other Rolex, right? You've got an Explorer 2
I
here.
do. I've got a couple at home actually, but so what I realised with the Submariner is I hadn't worn it in a long time. I was scared anyway. I know, like, maybe these cities aren't as bad as people say, and I think there's an argument for both sides of that.
100%.
But from my side, I realised I hadn't worn it much. I took it off the oyster bracelet. I put it on a NATO first of all, and then I just was finding that annoying. Then I put it on a commando strap, which was really cool. I loved the aesthetic of it, but I just realised more and more I was nervous to wear it, and I was like, yes, it's my first watch, but I was like, do I have that much sentimental connection to it, really?
Yeah.
I did a lot in it, but actually, what do I feel when I look at it? And like we were saying before, I had that kind of process of trying to recalibrate actually my taste in watches. I think Submariners are great, love it, but it had the Cyclops, and I know that's another point of, like division, and I don't even know how I feel about that really. And I thought, well, okay, let's just think about it and think about selling it. I asked a few people in WhatsApp groups, and that was really divided. A few months ago, 6 months ago, no, maybe not 6, in the summer.
Okay.
And some people like, don't sell it, you'll regret it. Some people like, yeah, why not? And then literally the day after that, I got a bulletin in, what's it called? A broadcast, on WhatsApp of a guy selling.
They're dangerous messages, aren't they? They're dangerous.
And normally I'm like, oh, that's amazing. It's a mil sub. Oh, it's $250,000. I'm not buying that. But this came up, which is the original root beer, reference 1675. I think it's /3 or just 3. I always forget if it's slash or not.
We'll probably get fact checked again.
Yeah, and this is the guy. I knew the guy selling it, and so in the space of a morning, I messaged another of my mates who's a dealer saying, "How much would you give me for my sub?" And it was literally maybe £200 more than what I bought that for. So in the space of a morning, I went from not knowing if I was going to sell it to buying something else and selling it. So
that's nuts. And you just did it, like you weren't.
Yeah, it was quick. Well,
or...
I sort of said to my wife, I sort of said to my wife, like, what do you think? Should I do this? And Kirsty's logic now is like, if you're not losing money on it, then
Yeah,
it
yeah.
makes no difference, right?
100%, yeah.
And what I love about that,
Oh,
so
this
that's
is beautiful.
yeah, nipple dial. I love how the bezel has faded.
Yeah.
I love how the dial for me, there's a lot more of an emotional attachment for me with that than my sub, right? That
More
was from-
personality.
yeah, it's from the original family's owner, and oddly, the engraving on the back is almost my initials. So I think that's JLM. I'm JDM, and I find that interesting. I know you could sort of do
We could probably get a little creative with the L.
I know. And yeah, it was the original owner's family.
This is beautiful, actually.
And I was looking for a nipple dial for a while.
Yeah.
But I always thought it'd be too out of my price range. Unfortunately, that one came on a period correct Rolex bracelet, but it was off I think it was off a date just, and they'd bought a stainless steel date just bracelet and had gold plated themselves the center links, and it looked diabolical. So I think that's probably, I effectively just bought just the case,
for the actual watch
Yeah,
itself, which ultimately is what really matters.
Yeah.
This is beautiful, and that was it. You just moved on.
Yeah, that was it, and that sort of led to a chain reaction of me being open to selling stuff. So I'm trying to sell my Speedy at the moment.
You've opened the floodgates.
I have. So if anyone wants to buy a Speedmaster 2005,
Mr. James
Speedmaster
McVey.
Professional,
Ultimate provenance.
do a good price.
Maybe we'll do like a signed picture of it as well.
yeah, that'll devalue it. So I sold. What else I sold? I sold like an Oris that I had. So I'm
Have
trying.
you replaced these with anything recent?
I sold my Explorer 2 before the Submariner. I bought an Explorer 2.
Yeah,
but so this is the thing. I always my favorite was either going to be a 16570, a 16550, which are I think they're the rarer ones. No. Yeah, 16550 is that's they only made them for a couple of years, I think. Or then 1655, which is the grail for me with Explorer 2s. Anyway, this was a couple of years ago. I thought I could buy a new, brand new. I was able to get it from retail, which was great. New Explorer 2, but it's 42mm case, and it just didn't scratch the itch. So I sold that. And then bought this in play. You couldn't get further away from what an Explorer 2 was.
I was expecting you to pick this up.
No.
Oh my gosh. This is cool. What do they call this dial?
So that's the linen. That's a linen Sigma dial, and that is 36mm. What is it? 1803 day date.
I mean, that's classy, isn't it? But you walk into a room and you're like, you're an elegant man, or woman, whoever's wearing it.
And that was another moment where I was really scared to sell a watch because the Explorer 2 was technically the first watch I ever sold, and I think I'm cool with my AD now, but I had a moment I was like,
we're all scared of our ADs. I don't want to,
because I didn't flip it. I sold it for the exact money I paid for it to a friend, who actually is quite a well-known guy in the industry. So I felt I didn't make any money.
Exactly.
If anything, I actually lost money because it cost me a fortune to get it to Singapore.
Yeah.
So when that came up, I was like, I didn't feel too guilty about that, but there was a weird feeling of, I'd always thought I just wanted an Explorer 2, and selling that was strange. But then when I was able to get that probably set off the chain reaction into going more into the AP Cobras or the Bamboos, because it was the first thing I'd had that was
it's a bit different.
Gold and a bit more elegant, a bit more classic. Also smaller in 36.
I don't know. It sort of feels like in your own personal life, you've gone from Vamps to solo tour, just a massive shift in personality. And I mean, just imagine that even if you're anyone, right? We all go through phases, and I don't know if you feel this, but I look at my collection 5 years ago to today, and it's just a different beast. A lot of it before was big, chunky, I'm entering this world, I saw Rolex Explorers. Explorer 1 is one of my favorite watches, but I got to a point where I just couldn't wear it because it didn't feel like me. And that's what it is, you just evolve. Do you feel like your collection is becoming, it's changing with you?
I do. And then what happens is I get to a point where I think I know what I'm doing, and then I'll see something and it'll throw it out. I'm trying to think if there's an example of that here, but probably not. I mean, you can tell, when you get close-ups to this afterwards, whatever,
it's
it is a weird mix.
It's eclectic.
It's a really weird mix.
I wasn't exactly sure what to do with it. But what else is setting, because I've seen you quite recently I associate with the Freak with you really heavily. Yeah, okay. I've seen you, and the Bel Canto, but I've seen you in some Raymond Weil. You seem to be, Well,
Raymond Weil's an interesting one. So, I've got two in here. I probably can't talk about one of them actually. It's the one that's not out yet. I'll talk about this one. You'll see it, but I can't talk about the other one in there. But this was the first thing that put me onto the brand actually, because the name let's just be completely honest, the name for me is something I would associate with being in like a shopping center or in an airport, and that's not positive or negative. That's just how in my head.
It's that place.
And for better or for worse, in my head, that puts that brand as like amongst other brands in a shop window, right? And that means that I had never really got hands-on with it. I don't know why, I just hadn't. And I can't remember who, but someone we will know, and I literally can't remember. I think I saw one in a video, and I was like, that's interesting. I think they did a world time. And it was that, and I was like, that's actually cool. Yeah. I think that's who did it. And they discontinued it. And then they brought this out, and this for me is what excites me at the moment. And I know it's not to everyone's like taste, like trying to find affordable luxury or whatever. But whether we like it or not, I think the average person that collects watches cannot spend 40 grand on an annual calendar or something like from Patek. So when this came out, this is the complete calendar, it's called the Freelancer. And I put this in a WhatsApp group recently, and I was like, find something that's, I think this is £3,200. Find that with a complete calendar moon phase for £3,200, automatic as well. And there was no suggestions of where else you could go. And yeah, obviously it looks Patek-esque.
Oh yeah, oh, for sure.
And
the inline calendar.
Yeah, I get it. And people can say that, but for my money, I like that I can have a feeling, and I know it's not Patek. I know the movement's not. I get that.
But it doesn't need to be, right? Not everything is. If you constantly tell, and which I think we really do in the watch world, is we tell ourselves that if it's not this, then it doesn't count. Yeah. So actually, we're seeing you and stuff like this. That's such an interesting conversation. Being able to just collect what you like.
Yeah, and I think
what you like.
that's important for me now. But I think what I love about Raymond Weil, and I don't know why I do think this matters, but Raymond Weil, and actually you could argue like Elise and Arden, I mean, slightly different points, but the people that work for the companies are genuinely invested in the brand.
So
Raymond Weil's family owned again, and I think that does mean something. Yeah. It does to me anyway.
It means the world, yeah.
Yeah, and they're not owned by, and again, nothing against conglomerate-owned brands per se, but like Raymond Weil I noticed a shift when stuff like that came along, and then also what else is in there. Like something happened a few years ago, which is, they kind of got ownership again. It means they've got the freedom to do what they want to and push
exactly
the envelope
that, right?
And that, for me, I really like that. And I just hope to God that Raymond Weil carries on going down that way, because, it's hard to build something really exciting and good. It's easy to do something, once you've built that, it's very easy to lose all that in like a couple of bad releases or customer wait lists or shit customer service.
In all my years, months, whatever of collecting, never had anyone present their own literally ever. And there is something so refreshing and fun about that, because now you just naturally find yourself looking, right? Like now I'm interested.
That's what happened to me though. I'd never been hands-on with a Raymond Weil. I'd seen them in shops, but just been like, oh, they can't be that good. Like, why would I bother? And then I wish I remember who'd mentioned it. And then I saw that, and I was like, okay,
that's
this is
interesting.
Sick.
Yeah.
But it's just about the future. I hope that they carry on doing good stuff.
Me too.
And they're based in Manchester. Like the UK team is based in Manchester.
Which we should establish. I am from God's own country, Manchester, God's own city.
And my dad's from Manchester.
So there we are.
I'm from Chester, so I'm close.
You started saying Devon or something, and I was like, no. You were born in the north. We are claiming you as one of our own, and I unapologetically claim you. But one thing I do actually heavily associate you with now, which is the biggest compliment in the world, is I just know whatever you've got on your wrist or whatever you bring along, it's just there's some connection to you, right? There's like, you're interested, it's not about the money.
Look, if Cartier paid me £1 million, I'll wear a tank. Like.
You know what? I think they're very. We'll all do it. I'd take a tenner right now off anyone.
I'm joking. No, I appreciate that. That's very kind. Thank you.
One brand I see you wearing a lot of is Christopher Ward.
Yeah, we've got a few in here. What have we got in here? I didn't bring my bel Canto, ironically, which is the one that I guess I'm associated with the most.
Oh, very fractious start. And I was like, no. And you're like, yes.
Yeah. Well, I'll show you something probably. I mean, there's a few in here that you'll see in late shots, but this is quite interesting. So this. Well, actually, when we're filming, this isn't actually out yet. But so this is called the Sealander Rocks. So this is a limited edition. They're doing 4 variants. and it's stone dial. Obviously, stone dial the past couple of years has been like a real exciting thing that loads of people are jumping on. I can't remember how much these are. I think they're about $1,000. Limited, again, I can't remember the numbers, maybe 150 each or something. But what I like about Christopher Ward is, they're not always going to do it right. They're not, you could argue maybe they are doing too much. Definitely
There's
doing
a lot
too
going
much.
on. There's a lot going on.
But what underneath that, there's a real hunger to carry on pushing. They're not, there's some
they're
brands,
driven by that. I agree.
And I think, if I mentioned the sort of conglomerate brands before, there are some brands that, while saying this, people think immediately of certain brands that seems to just rest on the name and then are very slow to bring product to market. The experience of doing that is a bit...
Customer experience is terrible.
A bit meh. And then at least Christopher Ward, no one could say Christopher Ward being like resting or like being...
This is a really good point.
And I think they probably should slow down a little bit, but... Stone dial there's more exciting stuff coming at the end of this year. There's something really exciting coming at the start of next year. They brought out this Loco earlier
That was the watch
year.
that changed them for me, actually.
Really?
I just had no... I'd actually love to hear what people think about Christopher Ward, because it's so divisive. When I post about it, I got 50% of people saying terrible, and the other 50% who are... It's almost like football. It's like City and United, It's pretty intense.
Yeah.
But they do represent like a... Again, I really associate it with you in a completely positive way, which is just... They're doing their own thing, they're moving in their own way, and they're just trying new things.
I mean, obviously... when people are saying that now the designs are too close to certain things, I think
which the Loco got a lot of, right?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, with Traffic and stuff. I think if you look back though to what, and Chris Ward, I actually don't think do that now deliberately at all. In fact, I know they don't. But in the original days of Christopher Ward, they effectively did do loads of homage watches.
That was their whole business model, right?
I like that Christopher Ward are at least trying stuff. So I know we were saying before, do we actually really care about 6-day power reserve? Maybe not, but they've been able to do it.
Which is great, exactly. And then you look at the free sprung balance, everything. I think, was it like 2.5 or something like that? $3,000?
This is 4.
4 grand, okay.
But it's the most expensive one they've done to date, though, to be fair.
Which again, they got some flack about, right? They've lost their core, they've lost their roots.
Yeah, but it's that thing with, you could compare it to music where it's like, if the Vamps had just done the same album over and over and played it safe, you kind of get stuck. And I think, I know some of these brands are divisive. And also what I would say is I don't know how many people that would buy an Antarctique from Chapek or whatever are the sorts that are going to buy a Loco anyway.
It's fine to serve different markets.
And and how many people have bought another field watch or another diver that kind of looks the same. And again, I understand. I'm not the sort of I'm not like a paid ambassador for Christopher Ward that's going to defend fine, have the conversation. But what I would say, what I love about the brand, which you maybe would not get from some of these other brands, they are willing to have that dialogue. If you go out to the stand at any of these watch things, I'm going to Dubai Watch Week and I'll hang out Chris Ward as well there. I know full well that if someone goes up to Patrick on the stand and says, I think this, he'll have a conversation.
It's amazing.
He won't just try and ignore you and run away.
100%.
And I love that. Mike as well.
It's really cool.
They're genuine watch people that like stuff. So they might not get every launch right, but I think, if they play it right, then they're not gonna disappear in a couple of years. They seem to be going from strength to strength.
I just want to see them keep doing their thing. There are some people they'll never please, and it's not my personal go-to, but the respect I've got for them post Loco, and literally walking up to Mike and be like, "Sorry, Mike, it's just not my thing." And he said, "Okay, let me show you the Loco." Yeah. And I was like, oh, I can't say anything bad about this. It's actually cool because it serves a certain demographic. And if every conversation is comparing it to a 100-gram watch, it's not fair. And it's also just, like you said, it's like comparing music. It's a creative outlet. And the point of this whole crazy hobby is just keep pushing, keep doing new things. Which leads me to my final question for you. There are so many watches here, but when you're going through an emotional gig like tonight, do you have something you go for?
It's really hard actually tonight. It always varies, but I did want to mention one actually before, this kind of epitomizes why I love the watch community. So I'm in a WhatsApp group and someone posted a picture of this and said, looking at moving this on, is anyone interested? And I was like, yeah, sure. And he was like, cool, what's your address? And I was like,
wait, before you've even negotiated?
Yeah. So this guy, a guy called Doug, he was given this 20 years ago by a friend of his, and the guy that gave it to him said, have it for 20 years and then give it to someone else and they can have it for 20 years and pass it down, right? And that is exactly why I collect watches, because, you know, it's not a financially like really expensive watch. He can't remember when it's from. I mean, it's got tritium, so it must be before 97.
90s, yeah.
So I'm going to guess it's either late 80s, early 90s, whatever. It's kind of small, but like, and I don't know, they're not worth much at all. But the fact that like I'd never met this guy, just a guy on WhatsApp. I love that. And it turned up a couple of weeks later and it's like, that is what I do. So like, if there's something particularly like emotional or sentimental, I'll typically go for something like this. Or I didn't bring it. My parents got me a two-tone date just with diamond markers for my 30th birthday a couple of years ago.
That's amazing.
I know, and with Nico, actually, Nico chipped in and helped source it.
Oh, that's incredible. That's beautiful.
Like,
that's a great story.
Like, he was so, you know, he's everywhere at the moment, Nico, but like, you know, he's doing stuff like that was so generous, because like my parents couldn't afford
You've
to
got
do
to celebrate that stuff as well. Like, at the end of the day,
really
that's
grateful
incredible.
That he did that. Really
that's
grateful.
amazing. That's a really cool story.
So my mum's never bought a watch before. So anyway, so typically in London I'd wear that or something like. But I left that at home today because you know.
Sorry, did this get given to you?
Yes,
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So Doug gave me this.
So that's why.
Yeah.
Who do I have to? Can I speak to Doug?
I know.
What else has he got?
I know.
Can I see it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So it's the 2000, I think, is the name of it.
That's nuts. So he was given it.
He was given it like 20 years ago. And he's given me that now.
Look at that. That's a
in 20 years, I'll give it to someone
Look at that. That's a watch that's been worn.
Yeah. I don't think it works particularly well, but it's fine. I just had it serviced.
You don't need it to tell the time anyway. That's kind of not the point. The point of watch collecting is slightly more ridiculous, I think, than telling the actual time.
But it's nice, I think, that like, you know, we reference things like the Freak or I don't know, any of these, some of these vintage Rolex. And actually, or like 1655, actually, like I get as excited about stuff like that as I do with some of the more like expensive stuff. And I think that is what I'm trying to perpetually remind myself of with collecting. Like, it's not, I mean, money comes into it because you don't want to bankrupt yourself, but actually like what gets me excited is the connection with the people. I'd much rather have a conversation with someone about this than like some guy that's wearing a really expensive watch that doesn't care about it, that bought it for the wrong reasons.
There's a certain like, I mean, the reason I'm having these conversations for me, it's the watches are almost a prop. What I'm more interested in is you and how you think, and this whole hobby is just deeply passionate. That's it. Which means people can get really quite, you know, like opinionated, but it means it's like at the core of it, filled with passion, intensity, and you get all kinds of people that you end up talking to. And the fact that they're a total stranger.
I know. Doug J.
Good old Doug.
I don't even know his second name. I just know Doug J.
Doug J. So Doug J is
What's
the
Doug's
hero of
second
today.
name?
And did you think this might make it to the rest tonight?
Maybe, we'll see.
I'm actually really, you have to send me a photo or something later. I'm actually quite excited. That's the whole point, right?
Yeah, it is.
I love that.
So I'm going to have to stop.
Oh, tour manager Josh.
There we go. This is the perfect segue.
I need to go and sound check.
All right. Well,
Okay,
on that note,
sound check. Yeah, there we go.
We're here live. This is real. We're about to go into a gig. Good luck with your.
Thank you.
This is two nights on the solo tour.
Yeah.
Mr. James McVey. This
Thank
to
you.
be
Thanks,
continued, as you can see. To be continued.
Cheers. Thank you. I thought you were going for a bro shake then.
Thank you. And sorry. Super sorry. I said I didn't want you to hate me, and actually we ended up running 15 minutes over.
No, we're good. We're good.